Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well. I just wanted to make a short video to cover some of the new features I've added to this latest release that will be coming out this evening or tomorrow, today being the 24th, or Wednesday. So the first part I wanted to show is the new menu palette that encompasses all of the three types of profile that we have in OFA, those being the decision point. You'll be familiar with all these settings. And then we have the range active, and then the swing and swing active. So you can already see that the volume profile menu has been tidied up in that all of the delta stuff that would have been below is also now moved to a separate top menu. So for Delta add-on users, you will now see the Delta as a top level menu, and all the features are the same below. For those who don't have the Delta, it shortens and it tidies up the presentation of this for you. So the main feature addition here is I've added this horizontal menu palette to facilitate quick adding of profiles to the chart. You can hover over each of these. There's a tooltip, so I've abbreviated them for space, and I've also just put in, once you're familiar with them, you'll know what range RP is range profile, SP swing profile, and DP is the decision point. And the A in the bracket denotes the active. The active will apply for those users who have risk reward and delta and algo X. These other settings here, DP1 is for a 1 bar 1 click, 1 bar 1 click active, DP X bars right. Now the setting for this will be still set up here. So if you want a decision point profile that encompasses 2 bars, i.e. the current bar and 1 bar to the right, that setting currently in my setting is showing 1, then that is what will be used. If you want to increase this to change your default to 2, 3, you just make the change in the volume profile menu, and this will now derive from the setting in the volume profile. Okay, so if I add a swing profile from here to down to here, so you can see the ability now just to have this ready with one click, and then you click your first bar and then your last bar. So there's no need you can still do so if you wish to. You can go into this menu, but the key being is that it really, particularly in these faster markets now where you're wanting to add profiles and decision points, I'm trying to sort of reduce and make it more efficient for you to actually do so with one click here and then adding. If I added another one here, what I want you to note as well is in the same way that all of these were disabled before, the system OFA is waiting for you to make your selections of your start bar and end bar. So all of these will be disabled until you actually make your selections. So I'm going to make my selection here and here, okay? And then you can see all of these options come back. The same applies to these. If you happen to want to use this, these will be disabled as well until you've made your selections. One of the things I have added for the OFA indicator, in the top section, OFA parameters, you will see this option here, show horizontal volume profile menu. Now that applies to this strip here, okay? Now the default for this is going to be true in any of your charts. Now if for any reason you decide you don't like it, you don't want it, or you only want to use it on certain charts, there is the ability to disable this. So you would just disable this, apply, and reload the chart, and it will remove this section, this top margin with this menu palette. Okay, so I just wanted to show that there is an option to disable it. As with most features that I add, I do strive to provide a means to give you some optionality as to whether you want to see it or not. So, for example, the crosses that appear at the top right of the profiles, you can also disable that. Okay, so it's in this section about halfway down under profile parameters, and you will see there's an option here to disable the profile close. So again, I just wanted take the opportunity to show you that there is an option here to actually disable that. So continuing with the new features here, as I've covered, all the Delta add-on users will see this menu at the top, which is separate. Everything else is the same. For those users who don't have Delta, you still have the ability to show the print Delta numbers in print mode or structure mode, and the COT for when you have the print mode. So all of those options are still there, and they are also available for the Delta users together with the other histogram and profile features to show the ticks, delta and volume for each of the profile. So all those annotations are there. So that's the Delta menu. The next feature I've added applies to those users with advanced profile. So what I've done here is, coming into today's London time 2:30 open, I've bounded this pivot decision point here and this one here coming into the open. So you can see I've already added 2 decision points here. This white line is the open, and the red crimson at the bottom is the current is the overnight low. The overnight high is way up here. So you can see most of the inventory was short from the overnight. What I've added is, if you have the advanced profile, if you right click, you will see this option here to extend the value area high, low and POC lines. So what it does is extends them right off the chart. So if I now scroll that way, they will continue, so they're still within vision, as long as obviously the price and the scaling, you can still see the price of those value area high POC, you will still see them. I'm going to enable it on this profile here as well. So again, it extends those lines. What it does is, I've been meaning to add this for some time, because it brings into focus any key decision points that you have as the market and the order flow unravels. Is it gives you these clear levels to facilitate, rather than, you can obviously use the crosshair, but it gives you these points to see when the POC that has been clearly broken. And then in this instance, you've got a retest of the value area low. So you've got 2 attempts there at the value area low, and then as you know today, the market just broke away down to the overnight low and then continued lower. Also in the opening, the opening range, within 10 minutes, this high decision point POC was tested. So in having these extended right, it gives you this bounded range to work with and to be ready with your limit orders, either for a long or for a short. Okay, so if you're using this either as an entry or to gauge a target, once that trade has completed and you want to remove those lines, you just right click and you disable. But anyway, that's for the advanced profile users. They will see this in their volume profile menu. Okay, the next features that I want to show and cover are for users of risk reward, and this applies to, again, the users with the advanced profile add-on will have access to this. We have this additional data set from here, the 50 midline, all the way down. What I've added in the swing low and the swing high to be used as a stop size off. So you can use the swing low. Say I use the POC. So you can use the swing low to size your risk, and then obviously you can make offsets from the swing low. Or you can use a swing high in the case of a short to size your risk reward for your setup. Okay, so that has been added to risk reward. Again, if you have advanced profile, you will see these additional 2 entries. And within AlgoX, the addition of this is also for the execution algo. I've set up this execution algo here. If you also have the advanced profile, it gives you access to this additional data set of the 50 midline, the DWAP, the CWAP, VWAP, and I've added in the swing low and high and the swing high low. AlgoX users will be familiar with the notation format. Is that the profile variable in the left defines a long. So when you're long, you will use a swing low, and when you're short, you'll use a swing high. and also provided the opposite of that is you may, in a certain situation, wish to use the swing high for a long and the swing low for a short to size. It's the same convention has been used for the value area high price and value area low price. So I had a request from some users, and it's also something that I look at, is that sometimes when the price is coming up to a decision point, and this happens a lot in the ES, is that it breaks through the value area high price, and it often takes out to 1, 2, 3, depending on what you're trading, either if it's the ES or the CL, is it can very often be 2 to 3 ticks. It takes that level out, and then it returns back into the swing, into the value area. So if you wanted to have more precision with defining your algos, rather than using the value area high low price, you can use the swing low, swing high, and then additionally you can set offsets. In this case, I've used a 3-tick offset from the swing low or the swing high. So again, for AlgoX users who have advanced profile, you will now see this option to give you a bit more control and refinement for your setups, where the value area high and low perhaps are, you find that they're consistently, you're being taken out even by 1 or 2 ticks with offset, is you can now use the actual low of the pivot or the high of the pivot, and this applies obviously to swings, swing profiles. But I would say that one of the main uses I have found is with decision points, is that using the POC value area, you can now use a POC and the swing high or the swing low. Okay, so I just wanted to cover that setup there. And the next part I want to cover is this is for users who have the OFA bar strategy or the Bloodhound strategy add-on. Both of these additions are applicable to both of these. I've provided two samples to illustrate the additional fields that have been exposed. The first of these down here, you can see there's an indicator called OFA sample bid offer alert histogram. The users will be familiar, those who use the sequence alerts, and in the print for the down option, which is in yellow, and for the up option, which is in Dodger blue. What I've done is I've made some changes and added a calculation to show the net alerts that apply to that bar. So in this case here, you'll be familiar with the sequence dots. Currently they're set to 3, so what happens is these are in groups of 3. What this means is you're going to have 3 price rows, 1, 2, 3. So you need to have 3 continuous price rows with sell alerts on the bid, and then you will see the yellow dot. And again here, what I've exposed in the data is the actual the discrete number of alerts on the offer side, and then the discrete number of alerts on the bid side. If I open this up to show the print, so you can see by the numbers, the green numbers on the right and then the red numbers on the left, is what this sample is showing is what is the net alerts for this bar. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the offer, and I've got 1 on the bid. So you can see there actually, if I put my mouse on that, you can see that set to 6, bid offer alert 6. So it's showing me the net. What I discovered is, for users who want to use this in their code to gauge the momentum, it's covered in the PDFs, is that when you've got this aggression within the microstructure of the order flow, if I close this here, you can see typically when we get a sequence of these, is very often you've got very strong hitting the bid, and in many instances that it typically breaks down, and any limit orders on the order book tend to be pulled away. So you get follow through, and it's coming back here to test, and again you get follow through. So in terms of how you like to read this, it is an indication of momentum, but it's really what we call toxic order flow. We have an internal algorithm that calculates the order flow when the number of bids is breaking down through the actual order book, and you get that breakdown pool of liquidity, and it follows through. So what I've done is I've added the discrete alerts without the sequence number, so that you can see, if you can see on a histogram level where you've got this surge of alerts. Now, in this instance here, you can see there's no sequence dot. That's because they were actually they didn't qualify for the group of 3, but you can still see that it still had an effect on lifting the price, on lifting the offer, and then it comes back down, and then it comes up. And this one here, you've got this very strong push down, and there's no follow through, and it reverses all the way. So I thought to provide a visual histogram to either to help you in to decide, do you want to set this to 3, to 2, but also for users who use the strategy add-on and in Bloodhound, it can add to your entry decision point as an extra qualification, as an extra condition, is say you want to ensure that you have at least a net 2, net 3, net 4, which it gives you that indication of you've in an up option is you've got that aggression on the market, you've got that active, aggressive, crossing the spread market orders that are going to facilitate giving you a higher probability setup for your level. Okay, so that's that one. The next one here, these OFA sample POC histogram, is the add-ons expose for the point of control, the horizontal. It's exposing on the bid size, the volume, and on the ask side. This histogram here, what it's displaying is the total bid-ask point of control volume for that auction. Okay, so you can see that again visually, you can see here that there was an increase in the point of control volume here, and the auctions broke down through that, and it came back to test that. 225. So there was 4 ticks. Say you wanted to use that as a part of your decision point or part of an entry when you see this high volume. As we know in the markets with point of control in a profile, is that the markets very often come back to test where there has been a high volume point of control area. So price, like a magnet, tends to gravitate towards these areas. Down here we have several of these on the breakdown just before we come to the overnight low, and again the market comes back to test. So I just thought it was useful to see visually certain areas which stand out with respect to the point of control, and the colouring here within the sample is that obviously on this bar, although it was an up auction, the actual bid volume was larger than the offer volume, hence the colour red, and the blue volume is indicative of where the offer volume is greater than the ask. So again, you can see here that this point of control relative to the volume in this area here, it's a significant level. It pushes up and it comes back to test this. So I just have found it useful as a visual. It does add real estate at the bottom of your chart, but I'm just wanting to continue to expand for those users who have the bar strategy and who have the Bloodhound add-on, is that you can now access this this volume without having to iterate. As you know, I've already exposed the print of the current live bar, which you can build up and do your own tests and iterations through the print, but now you can actually access this on a bar basis, the point of control volume, if you want to do any relative comparisons from the entry bar to any prior bars or within the context, an area of any level that you're trading from. Okay, so that's the second one of these. And finally, I have mentioned in the release notes the range bars. Now, I just wanted to leave this for any new users, is that I've just added this facility for any users. As you know, DB and most OFA traders that now use the OFA probe and rotation. I did have a number of requests to provide range bars, and the means to do this is setting the probe to, in this case it's a 10 range, and then if you set the ticks of the rotation to 0, internally with OFA it now recognises that this is a range bar, and to build the bars and process the ticks accordingly as a range. So you can see here that these here with a 10 range, you don't get any up options at all in this area. And the nice thing with range bars, I've noticed in certain areas, is you do get these pins to denote that the price is pushed all the way back up and down, and you get these pointer controls here. So I've noted there are some nice features with range bars in that it can denote some nice levels, and when it's actually pinned and pushed down and then closed all the way back up again. You still see that in OFA probe and rotation bars, but I have noticed with the range bars, you can see here you're getting a number of pins where the markets try to push down, and continue up. So again, I just wanted to show that for any users who maybe have missed that in the last release, and how to set that in the data series, simply by setting that to 0, and depending if you trade oil, gold, ES, you can play around with the actual range itself. So that's it. I think I've covered everything, and any questions, just email support. Do remember there is an FAQ in the download page, and most things that tend to occur during any update or release are covered in there, so we do encourage you to check that first. It just keeps support time, and actually if there's any delay, because I'm in London, if there's any delay depending on your time zone, it just means that you're more readily resolved and sorted without having to wait for me to get up the next day. So please do make use of that, and if you've got any suggestions to add to that, then please send in your suggestions. Okay? Thanks for your time.